All right. Okay. All right. So we've been teaching the CMMC course. We created the course and we've been teaching it now for. Has it been a year yet? It's coming close to
It's
summer,
been,
right?
I believe it's been over a year. Mhm.
Okay. So anyhow, over that time, I mean, we've had literally hundreds of teachers go through the course. But in fall, some of you may know that the CMMC accreditation board decided to update the standard even before it's fully implemented. So we went to CMMC version 2 as of January. So our team went and sat through training, looked at the course that we had, and then we went and updated the course to reflect all the new changes. So let me just catch everyone up, because I think we talked about CMMC before, but if not, what CMMC is, it's a cybersecurity maturity model certification. And the idea is the Department of Defense and Congress, through a presidential release, required that all Department of Defense contractors, as of 2025, will have to go through a cybersecurity audit. And that audit is based on the NIST 171 framework. So it's like 17 different domains. It talks about all the controls that an organization needs to have. The one misnomer that I think most people don't understand is that CMMC is primarily, though, about unclassified confidential information. So it's not everything within the organization, but it's all your contract information, and it's all the data that you develop within your contract and your services or products that you develop that should be covered by unclassified confidential information. And there's all kinds of guidelines on how that works and so on, but things that you generate that could be of interest to our adversaries would probably fall under that. But this is not confidential information. That's a whole nother ball game that when you're dealing with confidential information. All right. So what we've done over the last 2 months is updated the entire course. And basically what the course did is that they went from a 5-tier model to a 3-tiered model. And the main difference that they're going to have with the contractors is that initially what the idea would be is that every organization would have to go through an independent contract, independent audit, security audit, in order to qualify for contracts. The new certification at level 3, you would need to go through an audit, but the audit would actually be organized through the DoD itself. And at levels 1 and 2, which would qualify you for many contracts, you have to go through an internal audit, and you basically have to use their domains and guidelines and and so on. So what we do in the course basically is talk about the process, and then we go into each one of the domains. And then recently what we've done is that early on with this course, we did a lot of this with PowerPoints, but now we've converted all of those to emates, which the advantage is now integrated within the course itself. We don't have to have people download the PowerPoints or use PowerPoints to present the content. We can actually run them right in Canvas because they're all HTML5 now. So we've converted all of those PowerPoint movies. If you sat through the course and you are familiar with those, one of the things that we did is we made all of those into emates, which was a pretty significant. There was some significant work in doing that, because you're building each screen and then all the actions that go along with them, and and so on. So anyhow, that's what we've done to update and what's available in the course. But I'll go through and just show you a little bit about what the course is all about. So if we go into the first module, what we do in the first module is we answer all the basic questions about CMMC. So if you click on the first module, so here we basically talk about what is CMMC, what is controlled unclassified information, how does it compare to the older classifications, and we spend a lot of time just getting people familiar with what CUI is, how it's controlled. In fact, if you click on the CUI emate, just to give you a feel for what these look like, here we go in. And you can launch the email thing. But we basically go in and show you what controlled information with the federal government and federal agencies and their contractors look like. So there's got to be dedicated banners that we use to identify classified information. There's rules on how we have to control it. We have some movies in there and so on that talk about the different ways that we have to control it. But classified information can come in a lot of different forms. Yeah. So if we go next here, we just talk about, what classified information is. If you go back to that previous screen, just 1 second. So these are all these are all the things that fall under unclassified information. So it could be copyright information, agricultural type, tax information, law enforcement, legal, comes from multiple areas of the federal government, right?
Edward, did you have a question? I think we have a question.
Yeah, I sure do. John, thanks for this. I mean, this is great content. It looks like great content, but quick question is, NCyTE or your member institution, are you an LPP under the accrediting body for CMMC?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Well, hot diggity doodad.
I know. Corinne and I have been talking about that for the last 6 months.
You just made my day.
Yeah, we applied for it. We paid the fee and we put the application and we were recognized in November. So
okay,
yeah,
so we're an
if you go into the marketplace, you'll see us in there.
Okay, so we're an LTP looking for an LPP. Thank you. This is awesome. This is fantastic.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was telling Corinne that's going to be important to a lot of people because it's going to be a closed, marketplace. And
yes, that's why I was asking.
Very important to get that designation. So
for our other faculty on the call, I think we probably left off, why we think it's important that you do this training and how it can have an impact on your students. So the original idea was we have a lot of small businesses that are not able to pay for training or pay for somebody to help them with the CMMC because they don't have a clue on what's required. And the idea was that the faculty be able to teach their students about the CMMC. At the very least, it will make them more employable. It may be a faculty member or a student's hired, doesn't mean they're going to be helping them with their certification, but at least they have the knowledge of the requirements. At least that's one aspect of it.
Yeah.
You want me to go on?
Well, and I think the other aspect would be that organizations that have to go through these audits, you don't need just auditors, but your normal cyber staff need to work with the auditors in collecting the evidence for the audit. So they need to know what that process is, what kind of questions they might be asked, and then what is evidence, what's acceptable evidence that they may be asked to gather. So we're not necessarily teaching them to be auditors, but we're teaching them to bring the information that's necessary for an auditor to complete an audit process. That makes sense?
Do you want me to finish this or go back to the?
You can go to the next one. I'll just show a little bit about.
Okay.
You can go to the, So these are all the different categories of information that fall under controlled unclassified information. At one time, each one of these groups had their own labeling and their own titling of what this information is. And what the federal government has done over the last several years is to put all of this under one library called Controlled Unclassified Information, or CUI. So, and each one of these, this goes into what type of information that might be. So we expose them to what that information would be and why, contractors, whether they're selling pencils or fighter planes, fall under this. Okay. Yeah, you can just skip through all of these then.
Okay.
These are all the different category groups and what type of information would fall under CUI.
Oh, I see. Oh, it's going down the list.
Yeah, it just goes down the whole list. Yeah. So, and then in here we talk about what you probably would have heard CUI called, in the past was FOUO, which you've probably seen, right, for official use only, right? So that was the previous way that we talked about CUI. The new way, though, is that it's now called CUI. And by the way, there were many other tags that certain agencies used for official use only, right? But now it all falls under one controlled program of CUI. Okay. And then all we do in the first part of the class is we go through, what are the different types of CUI to have to be protected. So it could be paper documents, it could be emails, it could be electronic storage, it could be systems. And each one of them have their rules of how they have to be, managed and labeled and so on, how you have to protect the control of that information in those formats. Okay. Yeah, we can go to the next one. And then, we go through and even go into the details of what the banner looks like, what are the different parts of the markings, so on, just so they have a better understanding of what CUI is all about. When they start to see these banners, they're going to have a better understanding of what the different designations mean, the different labels mean. Okay. And I think we can skip this. I'm not going to go into all the details of those. So, but we go into in great detail, as you can see, and you can go back to the main menu then. Yeah. And then you can close this one. So we have emates throughout the course that go into different aspects. Up in the right top corner, you can close it.
I got it.
Yeah. And if we go back to modules. Yeah. So that's what we do in chapter 1. In chapter 1, we really go through, why did the federal government do this? What is CUI? How does it work? And so on. Now you'll notice that there's one in there that says cybersecurity dashboard. We're working with the Heartland Group out of University of Illinois, and they actually create a dashboard that's used in the auditing process. So, and what we've been able to do now is we're actually going to have a badge that people that go through this course can earn by using this dashboard to collect information for an audit. So they have to demonstrate competency in using the dashboard and performing like an internal audit. So, if you go through this chapter, we can add you to this class. You can go through and take a look at it. But we basically walk them through the dashboard and how it'd be used to plan and then perform an audit. And then if we go down the rest of the chapters, here we get into the nuts and bolts of what CMC is all about. So we go into each one of the domains, and I can just give you an example. So if we just go into one, we don't need to go through all of these, but if we go into the first one, access control is probably the biggest domain, the one that most are concerned with. It's broken down into capabilities, and then if we go into one of them, if you want to go in, go ahead.
And this one or that one?
Yeah, you can go into that one. Okay. So each one of these domains has an organization's capabilities. That's what they're able to do. And that's how we measure maturity. How many of these things are able to do, and at what level are they able to do these things, right? And I think the PowerPoints I put up here, you might want to use in your classes and things like that. And that's what we're finding. A lot of teachers want to use these in their classes, and now the new emates will be able to use as well. But let me just go through and we'll show you one of them. Go to files for 1 second. I'll show you one of these. So under pages is files.
Yeah, my machine's slow. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, view all pages.
Yeah, on the left-hand side, you see where it says files under pages?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, on files. Yeah.
Oh,
So these are all the files that we give out as part of the course. And if you specifically
okay.
look at PPTs, so PowerPoints, so go down to the PPP directory on the left-hand side. Yeah. All right. And we could just take one of these. So we did them in the form of a PowerPoint and then of a movie. Let's see if we can do the movie for access control. So double click on the movie
This
for
one?
the second one. No, the second one. Yeah, that one. And then download it and we'll open it that way. I think it shows better if we open it that way.
Hey, John, while that's loading, do you mind, again, this information for students that are attending these classes that we conduct using this material, we're effectively allowed to provide them this material as outputs, correct?
Yes.
So, dude, you rock.
Yes.
Simply put, I'm just going to say that's great. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, Corinne, do download because we'll run it as a movie. We can show how they work.
Okay, I'm just let everybody know I'm on DSL.
Oh, so, no.
I've managed to survive all this time, but occasionally we're going to have some hiccups. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we should do it or not. Let's
All right.
see.
Yeah, it's up at the top where it says download.
Yeah. Okay.
You think it'll download or no?
Yeah. I don't know. It might
Okay.
take a while.
All right. All right. But what we do in here, just, oh, wait, let's see. It's if we slide down, let's see what it's better as a movie, but if we slide down, we can just show you this, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So we show where they fit within the capability models. So these numbering systems are how the CMMC accreditation board track these for an audit. So if you go further down, and the whole idea between the three levels, level one is where you get started with practices. Level two is documenting and improving those practices. Level three is the highest level that you need as an organization in order to pass an audit. And then what we do, so if we just leave that screen right there, like AC 2005, provide privacy and security notification consistent with application CUI rules. What we go in each screen like this is that if you click on audit on the bottom, the button on audit, let's see if it works.
This.
Yeah.
No.
It's not working. Okay, that's what, yeah. All right. But anyhow, what that does is it brings up the objective of that capability. So we can go through with students and talk about this is what they mean by this capability. And here's how we measure the different levels. So there's what we call audit objectives. And then the second button goes into how do we prove that we meet those objectives? And you use evidence in an audit to meet that, to meet those objectives. So it talks about what is acceptable evidence for each one of these capabilities. And we list all of them. I mean, and it's spelled out in the NICE framework. So that's one type of evidence that you use in a security audit to demonstrate your capability.
So if it was the movie, then you'd have the screen and then you could click on the buttons and it'd bring up within.
Yeah, if you download the movies, you'll see them. Yeah. But then if you download the one for interviews or you click on interviews, what that talks about is who in an audit could be interviewed to see if they understand and they are implementing these practices. So like use of portable storage devices or external systems. Of course, it's going to be the users. It'd be the people that maintain that system and so on. But we basically talk about within an organization, who needs to be aware of this capability and what kind of questions might they be asked in an audit. So again, what we're trying to do is teach our students, if this is your role, if you're within the organizations, your role is to help, defend portable devices as they're given out to employees of the organization. What do you need to know about it, and what might you be asked if you were interviewed in a security audit, right? And what are they looking for? So that's, and then the last thing is the most important of all the different types of evidence, and that is how do we test and evaluate our controls or our systems that enable us to do that capability. So it would list out, let's say you might have an inventory control. So it'd be that might be one of the controls. It might be the person that serves as the asset owner within the organization, and so on. But the point is, and then it might be systems. So it might be a tagging system. A lot of organizations have the RFID tags on their portable devices. And if it walks through the threshold of the door, we know that it left, right? It needs to be logged that asset that had CUI on it was tracked, right? And that the person that was checking it out checked it out properly and so on. And then you test those systems, right? Did it work? Can you take that asset, walk it through the door frame, and is it picked up that it left, a controlled environment? And then is someone responsible for checking the logs that it was checked out properly and so on. So that's what the testing and evaluation is. And basically we go through all 171 capabilities, in the course. Now we don't go into great detail on each and every one of them, but we give them a general idea of within these 17 domains, what's required, of the technical, work staff and the cybersecurity professionals to implement this domain and these controls that are associated with this domain. Yeah, so if you slide all the way through, you can see these are all the controls that fall under, access control. And then there's actually, the new one only has 15 domains. So they cut it down. All right. And then each one of those colors in the box here are one of the capabilities. And then we have a screen on each one of the capabilities. So this is pretty, I mean, we put a lot of time and effort in putting these together. So, and then what we're going to do is in the dashboard, we're going to supplement it with things like videos and other things that would support the person that's responsible for these. Okay. But yeah, that's basically what's involved in the course. Any questions?
Where is it available again?
It's available on, you can
on
see the
Clark?
URL on the current screen. It's canvas.instructure.com.
Okay.
And,
Right.
and the name of the course is this CMMC version 2.
Okay.
What we would like to do at some point is to put this into just a portable course template that we'll be able to just hand out. But you can actually go up
Like a
there and extract.
cartridge.
Yeah, cartridge. That's what I meant. Yeah, cartridge.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, maybe build one for Blackboard and some of the other major, LMS systems. But right now it's available in Canvas. And if you can, import Canvas into Blackboard, you can, you can implement it like that. So, but that's, so, if we slide through here, you can see each one of the different domains. We've done posters for these. We've done checklists that, students could use in some of these. So we're building a lot. I mean, I think we're going to continue just to build more supplemental information that we can give to our students so they can, use them in preparing them or being better prepared, I should say, for an audit if they were, if they were hired. So, and then the other thing
Now-
I'll say we've also done is we've implemented some just standard emates that introduce each of the topics. Like we have emates on access control. So we build them into the course. So when
So
we're
this
talking about
is,
control,
it
yeah.
is popular. I do know that some colleges are using it now. And one thing I
Yes.
do like about this course is that it's interactive. So it's not like, here's a PowerPoint, now go through all these things. The emates and the other things make it more interesting to everybody. Just being able to click on buttons and things like that. So
Yeah, even in
yes,
like
it's,
one of the things we'll do in the class is like, write up the questions that you might use in interviewing someone for this domain. So now they can go back and look at those things and they're gonna construct information now, right? So here's the capability, here's the objectives, here are systems that they're looking at. Okay, what questions might I ask, and then which person might you ask these to, right? So those are kind of things, the activities that we can do in the class to better, prepare our students to go through an audit like this. Because whether they're the auditor or not, it doesn't matter. They're still going to get, they're still going to be part of that audit and be asked,
yeah.
their level of knowledge of things, So.
Okay, should I go ahead and stop sharing or?
Yeah, you can stop sharing it.
So,
Okay.
so I'm on Canvas right now, John, and I'm just, forgive me for the newbie
Yeah,
perspective.
we have to add you to the class.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right. Perfect. Perfect.
And what
Yeah.
will happen if you go back to Canvas, infrastructure.com, a green banner will show up at the top saying you're invited to this class, and then it will
Perfect.
let you in.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, yeah. So if you can do so, because again, we're an LTP over at Boise State.
Okay.
And we've been, because of the various changes that occurred in November last year, we've been kind of holding off because
I know.
everybody has been. It's been paralyzing.
I know.
And so the fact that you're an LPP, you can't see it because I don't have video on, but I'm literally jumping up and down for joy because this is content that we've been clamoring for. Our MEP, our manufacturing partners around the state have just been, please, please, please give this to us. And so now we can.
And that's one of the things we talked about, how important it was to get that, because ultimately you're steered to the marketplace for your trainers. So I think we need to blaze the trail for other institutions that want to do that, because I mean, when you think about training employees from 300,000 different contractors, they're going to need us, whether they think they're going to be doing it in the private space or not. It's not going to happen. They're going to need academic institutions to be part of the solution,
Yes.
and whether that's preparing the workforce, which is our main focus, or it's ultimately our, our non-credit courses actually teaching these to businesses. I think there's going to be a big role for community colleges. And like Corinne says, it's going to be a tsunami, right? We're going to need this huge need. And then once people go through it the first time, it'll start to flatten out. And, but right now, these next couple of years, I think it's going to be a hot, commodity. So.
Good. No, I'm with you totally. That's awesome. Thank you. And if you need my info, it's in chat. So
yeah, I'd like to reach out to me. Maybe we could talk about some of these things.
yeah,
I mean, we'd
John.
like to. We're going towards being a publisher also.
Yes.
But the problem is they're limiting publishers right now to only 12, but they're going to open that window up. From what I understand, I don't know if you go to the meetings or not, but they announced that they're going to open that up to more, and they're going to pick at least 2 academic institutions. So we would really like to get that designation as well. But and I think we're on our way because we got a lot of materials that they could, that they
Do you
can.
know why they're trying to control that? So
yeah, because they want to give their contractors first crack at those things, and they want to control the quality of the materials that go out initially. So, and I don't know if they trust us yet, so we're new to the community. So that, I think that's part of it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, John. That was a great presentation. And thank you, Corinne, for helping facilitate that. And what else do we have? Oh, Stephen, you're back. How's the conference going?
Going good. Maybe a lot of background noise. I'm not sure. I'm trying to keep it.
You're at a conference too, huh?
So,
Right.
yeah, you want to go ahead and just take it over, Mike?
Okay.
Got some people here.
Sure. And again, thank you everybody for attending the this month's monthly membership meeting. I want to remind you that next month we are going to have the ATE National Center panel discussion on the impact of cybersecurity across disciplines. So we've already confirmed with the Geotech Center, the Micro Nanotechnology Education Center, Innovate Bio, National Center for Biotechnology Education, and the National Center for Supply Chain Automation. We're still trying to get some other panelists for that as well. But the discussion will be about how cybersecurity is impacting different disciplines, how we can bring the education and pedagogy into those different disciplines, because it's continues to expand. I don't have anything else to add to that unless you do, Stephen, or.
They all have an interest in cybersecurity and implementing cybersecurity based on the conversations I've had so far. And so I think it's going to be a very interesting session, and pass the word on to your cohorts if they ought to attend this. I think it's a good opportunity for us to focus on that multidisciplinary activities and incorporating cyber into many different platforms. So
If we have a few extra minutes, so if there are any announcements that members would like to make at this time, general announcements, please go ahead and unmute and make an announcement. All right, well, we will wrap this up then. We'll finish a little bit early today. Thank you again for attending the monthly membership meeting, and we look forward to seeing you at future meetings, workshops, and don't forget that we're interested in ideas that you have as well. Any other closing comments? Okay, thanks everybody. Take care.